The window for early institutional positioning on this new financial framework, well, it's closing.
You see, while retail market sentiment is completely distracted by the day-to-day noise of price charts, the real story, the significant structural shifts, are happening at the highest institutional levels. The actual foundation for the next financial system is being put into place right now.
And the main venue for this convergence? It's the World Economic Forum in Davos. Now, we're tracking key players here, people like Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse and Coinbase's Brian Armstrong. And let's be clear, they are not there for some theoretical chat. They're there to finalize the integration of this new market structure with global leaders. Okay, so let's get right into it. Point number 1, the objective. We have to be crystal clear about this. The agenda at Davos isn't about retail crypto trading. Not even close. It's about a fundamental update to the entire global financial operating system.
And we have confirmation of this objective straight from Brian Armstrong himself. Tokenization of capital markets. That single phrase tells you everything you need to know about the scale of this thing. We are not talking about small improvements. We are talking about a complete overhaul of how assets are issued, traded, and settled, period.
And this is the number they're targeting. $1.7 quadrillion. This figure represents the total addressable market, the estimated value of all global assets that are projected to eventually move on-chain. This is the sheer magnitude of the liquidity shift that we're analyzing.
Look, these institutional updates move incredibly fast. You'll want to subscribe and hit the bell to make sure you get this research before the market fully reacts, because once these frameworks go public, price discovery is going to happen very, very quickly.
All right, let's move to point number 2, because this is the critical piece of the puzzle, the prerequisite. For years, there has been one major technical barrier that has stopped any kind of large-scale institutional adoption, and that barrier is privacy.
So you might be asking, why can't these huge banks and asset managers just use the public blockchains we already have? Well, it's because full transparency is a massive liability for them. If you reveal your proprietary trading strategies, your counterparties, and your market positioning to all of your competitors, you've just negated your entire institutional edge. It's like a poker player being forced to play with their cards face up.
So the solution is a fascinating piece of tech called zero-knowledge proofs, which Ripple is now prototyping on the XRP Ledger. Just think of it like a digital key. It allows an institution to prove that something is true, let's say that they have the funds for a trade, without ever having to open their vault and show all the sensitive details to the public. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Just look at the contrast here. On the left, you've got the huge drawbacks of a public ledger. It exposes everything. But on the right, you see the advantages of what they call selective disclosure, which is enabled by these ZK proofs. It lets institutions prove their solvency while hiding all that critical strategic data. They get to maintain their competitive edge. So here's the bottom line on this. ZK proofs solve the privacy paradox. This is not just some incremental upgrade. This is the final technical component required to build a market structure that actually works for institutions. It completely removes one of their core objections.
The market simply moves faster than video production can keep up. For immediate updates, for the breaking news the moment it happens, you'll want to join the Telegram newsfeed. You get access to the raw data and documents as we analyze them.
Okay, let's move to our final point, the foundation. You see, having a technological solution is absolutely necessary, but it's not enough. It needs a parallel global licensing framework to even be operational. And the key here is that framework is now complete. This timeline really shows the strategic preparation that's been going on. Ripple has been methodically building a global regulatory footprint. The standard custody acquisition gives them a critical trust charter for U.S. institutions. Then you have the Luxembourg license, which is basically a passport to the entire EU market. And the UK license secures a foothold in another one of the world's top financial hubs. You put them together, and it's a powerful trifecta for global operations. So let's just summarize the state of play here. The technical privacy solution is being finalized, check. The custody and infrastructure solution is already in place, check. And the multi-jurisdictional regulatory framework has been established, check. Every single significant objection to institutional adoption has been systematically addressed and removed. And all of this leads to the final critical question. When you have the technology, the infrastructure, and the regulatory approvals all perfectly aligned, what is the inevitable next step for institutional allocation? The path for a massive deployment of capital has now been cleared. The next logical step, of course, involves valuation, and a public offering. I analyze exactly how these Davos meetings and these technical unlocks are setting the stage for the Ripple IPO valuation right here. You need to understand these valuation targets before it becomes public knowledge.
Stay ahead in the crypto market. Subscribe now for the latest global news and updates.